I just finished the OctoPi install on a new Raspberry Pi 4 8 gig model, and following the videos I found online, I had a lot of problems with it. It seems like most people are using Mac and know a lot more about computers than I do. So I'm going to try to dumb it down, make it real simple for us Windows users. You'll need Notepad++, which you can find at notepad-plus-plus.org/downloads. Click on version 8.3.3, and when it takes you to this page, scroll down to the box with a chameleon on it. Click download, follow setup. It'll automatically open. Just go ahead and close it. Go to raspberrypi.com/software, download the Raspberry Pi imager for Windows, follow setup instructions, and close the app when it opens. Minimize your browser, go into your apps, and scroll down to the R section. Click Raspberry Pi, right click on the imager, more, and run as admin. Yes, allow it to make changes. We're going to choose operating system and scroll down to other specific purpose OS. You need to have a minimum 32 gig SD card in your computer at this time, a new one with nothing on it. That way you're starting fresh and don't have to worry about any problems. Click on 3D printer operating systems, OctoPi, and OctoPi Stable. This is the newest version, 1.7.3 OctoPrint. Click on that. Choose your mass storage device and click Write. It'll ask if you want to continue because it's going to erase everything off of there. We click Yes and wait for it to write. Alright, OctoPi Stable has been written to mass storage device. You can now remove the card. It's going to automatically eject your card. Take it out. Put it back in. We're done with the imager, so we can close that. Alright, we open the file, click on boot, mine's drive F, and we are going to go to right click on OctoPi WPA supplicant, and you'll see up here it says edit with Notepad++. We're going to click on that, and you'll see some warnings up here. This says right on it that if you use Windows and you try to use WordPad, it will ruin the file. It will not work. A lot of people with their Mac videos say that you can use WordPad. Don't do it. It causes a bunch of problems. So we come down to this line right here, and we need to remove these pound symbols. I'm going to try to set this down and hopefully you guys can still see it. I know it's not good quality, but work with what you got. Alright, so we've deleted those pound symbols, and that will activate the WPA secured network. Under the line SSID equals, delete the words, put SSID here, look at the bottom of your router, and put your router name. On the PSK line, delete the words and put your router password in there. I'm not going to show you guys mine because somebody will hack me, and I don't know how to fix stuff like that. So you guys look over here for a second at this wall. Alright, once you get your information put in there, you can click Save, and that will overwrite this supplicant file with your router's information. So we're done here. We can eject our mass storage device. And now we go down to the printer. Alright, so we put our card in the Raspberry Pi. I have my Raspberry Pi sitting next to my printer, but it's not hooked up to it yet. HDMI cable and mouse and keyboard. We are going to turn on the Pi. Alright, we got the little light going on. It tells me we got power. And we walk over to my desk and readjust the camera so maybe you can see what's going on. Alright, now I have an extra computer monitor hooked up to the Raspberry Pi so we can see what's going on. It's going to boot all of that information you just saved onto the SD card and go through the checklist. Alright, everything has finally finished booting, so now we're going to restart the Pi. Alright, now it's going to load to a certain point, and we haven't set up OctoPi on the computer yet because we needed OctoPi loaded on the Raspberry Pi first. So you'll see a part that says you may now open a web browser on your local network and navigate to any of the following addresses to access OctoPrint. And it'll give you an IP address. So we're going to come over to our computer. Unfortunately, I tried to run all this setup on the laptop and it, for whatever reason, just would not load the operating system download. So we are going to type in the IP address that it tells you. Yours shouldn't be the same as mine. Alright, and now we are at the setup wizard. So now we can start the setup process. I don't have another one that I want to update, and we need a username and password. We are going to make the username Ender5 and password and create an account. And it'll flash something up in the corner that says you can now log in. So we're going to finish the setup on here first. And we're going to scroll down. We'll enable connectivity check. Next. I'm going to disable anonymous tracking. Enable plugin blacklist processing. If you know what you're doing with code and stuff, this might not be important to you. I'm a little slow. I need the blacklist. Alright, now we get to the printer profile. We are going to name this printer profile Ender5, and model is Reality Ender5. Print bed and build volume, rectangular, origin lower left, heated bed. We are going to change the width to 350 and change the depth to 350 and change the height to 400. You can also set up a bounding box. I believe the actual build volume is like 375 by 375, but you'll hit your binder clips and stuff. If you just set it to 350, it should fit in there just fine. Axes. If you are using the Ender 5 Plus, you need to invert the z-axis. Your Ender 3s and stuff, up moves the print head up. On the Ender 5 Plus, your bed moves down. And I found out the hard way that if you do not invert it and you hit down, it sends your bed up. Hot end and extruder, we're going to leave that at 0.4 and 1 extruder. Next, and finish. Don't leave your machine unattended, it can catch on fire, blah blah blah. There are updates available for the following components, so we are going to update now. This will update the following components and restart the server. This is your Pi support plugin. So we're going to proceed. Alright, update successful, restarting. Server is offline. Attempt to reconnect. Well, we're not able to reconnect. There is a new version of the server active now. A reload of the user interface is needed. Reload now. Alright. So my server... Alright, here we go. Now it's loading. Alright, everything's back up and running. So we're still on the laptop. Pi's over here. Laptop over here. We are going to open the command prompt by searching command. Pops up, and we are going to right click and run as admin. Yes, allow to make changes. Expand this box so I can see what's going on. And we are going to connect to the Raspberry Pi using the code SSH. And your Pi should have a generic name, pi.octopi.local. So use the code SSH space pi at octopi.local. Hit enter. It'll ask, do you want to connect? Yes. Enter. Password. The password on these is generic and is normally set to Raspberry. Congratulations, you're now connected to your Raspberry Pi. Now we should be able to come over to our Pi, and it'll ask for the login page for our OctoPi, and we named our OctoPi Ender 5. Type in the password that we set. Login incorrect. Of course it is. Alright, so it doesn't actually want your OctoPi login. It wants your Raspberry Pi login. And the default name is Pi, default password is Raspberry. Now that you have this little guy down here, you can begin your setup, changing your name and password and everything. I'm not actually going to use this Pi for OctoPrint. This is my gaming emulator Pi, so we're just going to leave this as it is and not change anything. If you were going to do your setup at this point, you would type in sudo space raspi -config and hit enter. That'll take you to the setup page where you can change the name of your Pi, the password that you're using, the time zone that you're in, language, and everything else. Now, If you followed along with me and connected your computer to your Pi already, when you change this, it should automatically update and you should stay connected. If you did not do it in this order, if you set up your Raspberry Pi first, the information on command prompt will be different. Now that we're signed in to OctoPi on our Raspberry Pi, and we are on the Pi page on our computer, we're going to come over to our printer and turn it on. Wait for it to load and listen to my noisy cooling fan that needs replaced. Alright, everything's loaded there, so we're going to take our connection cable. There is a difference in cables. You have power cables and you have connectivity cables. The one it comes with is for connections. We are going to plug that into one of the USB ports on the front of the Pi. Alright, so our Pi is connected to the printer, mouse, keyboard, power supply, and everything. We're going to come back over here to our laptop. And over here we have Auto Connect on server startup, and we're going to click connect. Alright, now you can see everything loaded. I have my current hot end temperature, 17.5, bed's at 17.7. We can come over here to the control tab, and this is how we're going to test it. Since I reversed my Z-axis, down should be down, and I have it set to 10 millimeters, and we're going to click it and go watch it move. And my bed's going down, so we know that we're connected. Pull these parts off of here. And you can do further test for your temperature to make sure it's connected. So let's bump our temperature up to 30, and we'll click set. Now you can see up here it has started counting the time and the actual temperature. You'll get the warning. Since I didn't change my password and everything, it's going to give you the warning that this isn't safe. I can go back and do that while you guys aren't watching. But since we've already connected everything, when I do go change my Pi name and OctoPi name and all that, it will stay connected to your computer. So right now, OctoPi is telling me that we're up to 24 degrees Celsius. Come over here. Now we're at 27 already. So everything's working. I prefer to do the setup and just leave all the passwords and everything the same. That way you get connected, and then you can go back later and change it. Now that we know everything is running, we can go back and do the configuration. So we type in sudo raspi-config, hit enter. Alright, so we had the factory password still was Raspberry. Now that we're in here, we can go to System Options, scroll down and change our password and host name. So I'll start by changing my host name. It'll tell you what you can and cannot do with it. We're going to change this one to Ender5. It'll take us back to the main System Options. We're going to go to password. You'll have to type it in twice. All right, password changed successfully. I'm not going to change time zone and stuff. Hit tab, finish. Would you like to reboot now? Yes, we are going to reboot. And while it's rebooting, you will get disconnected because your Pi is offline. The Pi is your server in this case. Your Raspberry Pi needs to stay on through the entire process. If you shut it off, you're going to get the server as offline error. Alright, our Ender 5 login. Alright, so it's not letting me log in, and I just looked over at my laptop and realized I didn't reload. If you don't reload, you can't log in. Alright, now we're relogged. Alright, after several attempts, I figured out what I was doing wrong. I changed the octoprint name to Ender 5, and then changed my Pi password. So my login is still Pi with my own password. The reason my username is still Pi is because I didn't go into the Pi settings and change the name of the Pi. You can do that when you turn it on by holding Shift and changing the information there. I only changed the host name to Ender 5, which is why it replaced OctoPi with Ender 5. But that's pretty much it for the OctoPi setup on Windows. It's a lot easier if you follow the directions for Windows and follow the proper directions for Windows, like not using Notepad, not installing things that you don't need like Balena Etcher, and navigating through GitHub and all that other fun stuff that people like me don't know how to do. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. You can go complain about the quality of the video in the comments below. You know, I did what I could with a Joby and a cell phone, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment or send me a message on Discord, and I'll help with what I can.